aristocrats allowed. Why? Because we've got a country to save. Join me, Larry Elder, tonight starting at 7 on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy this morning is Kristen McQueary of the Chicago Tribune editorial board. And boy, the theatrics on the Hill yesterday, really something to behold, speaks to the importance of the issues, the sobriety which with congressional Democrats are addressing the treason committed by the president, the felonious lying to Congress committed by Attorney General Maher. That's not according to me. That's according to no less an authority than House Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
He lied to Congress. He lied to Congress. If anybody else did that, it would be considered a crime. Nobody is above the law, not the President of the United States and not the Attorney General. Being the Attorney General does not give you a bath to go say whatever you want, and it is the fact because you are the Attorney General. It just isn't true.
Should he go to jail for it?
There's a process involved here, and as I said, I'll say it again, and how many other questions you may have, the committee will act upon how we will proceed.
Arrest that man. Lying to Congress. Hey, it was good enough to negotiate plea deals with the likes of George Papadopoulos. I guess we should begin in earnest with the prosecution of Bill Barr and possibly a plea deal that will minimize the jail time he'll serve.
Or at least bring out some props, a bucket of chicken figurine, something to kind of capture this big, important, sobering moment. As
Stephen Cohen, a Democrat from Tennessee, did just that when Barr failed to appear before the House Judiciary Committee to be questioned by staffers. And Doug Collins, not that Doug Collins, not the former Bulls coach, number one NBA pick, ISU great.
Thank you. I was
72
waiting.
Olympian. Not that Doug Collins. The Doug Collins from Georgia, ranking Republican on House Judiciary, had this to say about why Barr wasn't there, and frankly, who's the real chicken.
But the reason Bill Barr is not here today is because the Democrats decided they didn't want him here today. That's the reason he's not here. You could have done anything else you wanted. And what is amazing to me is to say that he is scared of answering questions, to scared that he's not. And you can disagree with the Attorney General all you want, but for yesterday, he sat for over almost 6 hours in the Senate voluntarily answering questions, even on a second round that was taken up by Democrats who wanted to ask more questions. And you can agree, did he do good? Did he do bad? It doesn't matter, but we're not getting that opportunity today because the stunt and the circus continues over here. All we had to do, we agreed to more time. We could talk about executive session, but no. For some reason, for some purpose, except the optics of something they can't do or don't want to do right now, they wanted to have a staff member ask questions. I said before, if that staff member wants to ask questions so desperately, run for Congress. Put a pin on, find a committee. The question I have here is not what Bill Barr is scared of. My question is, what are the Democrats scared of? They don't want Bill Barr here today. They've had the report, they've read it, they don't like what's in it. The chairman won't even go look at what the Attorney General offered him. It's pretty amazing to me. He wants to go in executive session and ask questions about it, but he won't go read it.
Boom.
That's just sort of amazing. For more on this topic, we're pleased to be joined again by our friend Roger Kimball. He's the editor of New Criterion and a columnist for PJ Media. Roger, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. How you guys doing?
So who is, do you think, providing the most aid and comfort to President Trump? Is it the Jerry Nadlers of the world and those pursuing the Russian collusion, obstruction of justice business? Or is it Ilhan Omar opining on America's role in the decimation of Venezuela?
Yeah. Well, it's, I think it was Jerry Nadler yesterday or the day before said that Bill Barr is terrified of coming here. People are terrified, but it's not the Attorney General who's conducted himself with extraordinary unflappability. The tactic by the Democrats seems to be to berate him in the most histrionic possible way, accuse him of all sorts of things, in this context where he cannot defend himself, and then ask some silly question to which he answers yes or no. And the theater of what happened at the Senate a couple of days ago, and then the histrionics in that in the House yesterday were, in a way, sobering, I suppose. But behind all this, of course, is the Attorney General's admission that there are multiple criminal investigations going on right now into the origin of the Russian collusion hoax. That's not his word; it's my word. But I think that there probably are a lot of terrified people, but their names begin with Brennan and Clapper and Comey and Yates and McCabe and maybe Susan Rice and Samantha Power. These people should be very worried because if they have done what many people suspect them of doing, leaking classified information, they're going to be in deep trouble. I think Nancy Pelosi's right that nobody should be above the law, but hitherto the deep state actors in the Obama administration have been above the law, and I think we're just about to see that come to an end.
So would you say that is the issue that might be breaking through with more moderate Democrats, or whatever you see as kind of the path to Trump's reelection? Is it that? Is it the more revelation about kind of the breakdown in FBI? Is it more histrionics from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or Representative Omar or the media? What do you see as kind of the issue or the person who is finally starting to maybe break into the minds of more moderate Democrats?
Well, I think if I were a Democratic strategist now, I would be in a state of profound despair because a week is a long time in politics, as Harold Wilson once observed. Lots of things could happen. But if things continue more or less the way they have been going for the last 2 years, Donald Trump is not only going to win, he's going to win in what might be a landslide. I don't expect him to win California or New York, but he's going to win very handily. Just you look at the economy, you look at the regulatory environment. I think people are waking up to the fact that maybe against their expectations, we have here a kind of an unorthodox president, but one who has had extraordinary success. I can't think of a more successful first 2 years ever. Can you? And I think sober Democrats understand that. On the other hand, and we saw this just a couple of days ago in the Senate, it's quite clear that they're not interested in the truth. And beyond that, they're not interested in the common weal. They're not interested in America, the consensus that it is we, the people, that we're all in this together. That is totally absent. What they are interested in is the preservation and perpetuation of their power. And that's the be-all and end-all for them. And they're in a state of desperation now because they see the proverbial chickens flying home to roost, and it's not the kind of chickens that were being eaten from
Stephen Cohen's
bucket.
bucket.
The other day. Yeah.
It's not Reverend Wright's chickens either. Let me ask you about all the Democrat socialist candidates for president. They just keep piling up with two more announcing this week, the governor of Montana, a senator from Colorado. Yeah. And it's all about, like we talked about this a bit yesterday, competing giveaway programs, everything from Medicare for All, which really is nothing like Medicare, but okay, to debt forgiveness and free college and free that, and Kristen Gillibrand's democracy dollar so you can play political donor. Do you think, are you concerned that the combination of the giveaways and perhaps the personal unpopularity of Trump on an interpersonal level is enough for a socialist like Bernie or even Biden to sneak in?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it is true from the time of the Gracchi, Tiberius and Gaius Gracchi in the Roman Republic. The promise of free stuff it's a popular move. There's no doubt about that. Obama with his free iPhones or cell phones, it was free grain, that's promised by the Gracchi back in the late days of the Roman Republic. That it can be a popular move, but I think that the economy is so strong, the job market is so strong, and most people at the end of the day would rather be productively engaged, living their lives with the dignity of a job that has good wages, than they would floundering in a state of dependency. And that's really what the Democrats have been about, at least since the time of the Great Society. I'd argue that it probably goes back to the New Deal. But their agenda is an agenda of dependency, in which there is an evil symbiotic relationship between the dependent class and this ever-growing bureaucratic leviathan that caters to and feeds upon the dependent class. That's one of the things that Donald Trump challenged in his 2016 campaign, and he's done a very good job, it seems to me, at delivering on that promise of emancipating people from the state of dependency. And when people get a taste of freedom like that, they like it. They like being able to take care of themselves. And the Democrats, I think, are desperate to perpetuate the dependency of their clients. But as I look around our society now, I see that disintegrating. And as long as the economy stays strong, I think Donald Trump's going to have a pretty powerful argument against it.
Who would you say, though, in spite of the economy, I know it's early, like you said, a lot can change in a week, but who would make a Trump supporter most nervous so far of the field of Democratic candidates?
Joe Biden.
And why?
I think Joe Biden. Well, Joe Biden is not, he's pretty left-wing, but he's not insane.
Such an endorsement. I think that should be his slogan.
So it's sort of a low bar.
It.
Yeah, sort of a low bar. The one guy's not insane.
Did you say liberal but not insane? Perfect. Love it.
But, yeah, he's not. You listen to. She's not running for president, but you listen. I think she somehow seems to epitomize the spirit, the Democratic spirit abroad today. I think that many millennials must somehow confuse social media and socialism. They think of the same thing. Socialism is the most destructive philosophy, political philosophy ever created by the evil ingenuity of power-hungry despots. Socialism depends upon two tenets. One is, equality, egalitarian. There's an egalitarian impulse, and the abolition of private property. That's what. Without those things, you don't really have socialism. That's what it's all about. And the only way to enforce that is through coercion. The poster child for what socialism is right now is Venezuela. This is the richest state in South America. It's completely falling apart. Why? Because of its socialist ideology. Jeremy Corbyn went to Venezuela after Hugo Chavez's death and said, Venezuela shows us that there is another way, and it's called socialism. He was right about that, but not quite in the sense in which he meant it. And this is something that people, the right, the conservatives, have not been very effective in their deployment of rhetoric. It's a very important thing. The rhetoric, says Aristotle, is the art of persuasion, and it should be a very simple matter to look at the free market and say, this is the most effective, productive engine for the production of wealth that the ingenuity of man has ever contrived. You look at so-called capitalist societies. I try to avoid the term capitalism because although the term wasn't invented by Marx, it was popularized by Marx and Engels, and for them it meant exploitation. And that's not what it means. What it means is wealth, the production of wealth, and that's what we have. It's what Venezuela does not have. And Bernie Sanders and the rest of this, I hope more and more Democrats run. They all should run, as far as I'm concerned. I think what's going to happen is they're going to destroy Joe Biden. And unfortunately, his activities in Ukraine are very dubious. But so I don't think he will probably be the candidate, but he's the most plausible candidate that I've seen so far.
The Aristotelian reference reminds me of something another great man once said, that words are the currency of politics. You know who said that, Kristen?
Mm-hmm.
Let me guess. Dan Proft.
It was me. Yeah, thank you very much.
It's a common theme here.
Roger Kimball, editor of the new Criterion. Thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure.